Have you ever just stopped and wondered, what really makes you, you? Is it how you are raised, the choices you make, or maybe the culture you grew up in? Well, today, we're going to dive into some of the biggest theories of personality and see if we can piece together what truly shapes who we are. Let's get into it.
So let's start with a really big question to keep in the back of your mind as we go through this. Are you really in the driver's seat when it comes to your own personality, or are there other, maybe hidden, forces at play? Okay, so let's begin by looking at this from the outside in. This first perspective suggests that maybe, just maybe, we're a product of our environment a lot more than we like to think.
Now, this gets right to the heart of what's called the behaviorist view, from thinkers like B.F. Skinner. And they made a pretty radical claim that personal freedom is basically an illusion. From their point of view, we aren't really making free choices. Instead, all these external forces, wanting our parents to be proud of us or just fitting in with social norms, are constantly shaping us. They're conditioning us to want certain things and act in certain ways.
And this whole thing is a process called conditioning. Essentially, your environment is training you every single day. Skinner even suggested that society starts conditioning us from a really young age to want what's best for the group. The takeaway here is kind of huge. It means your deepest desires might not be entirely your own.
That's a pretty intense idea, right? That we're just sort of reflections of our surroundings. But it does make you wonder, what about our inner world? Our thoughts, our beliefs, our goals. Surely they have to count for something.
And that question brings us perfectly to our next theory. The social learning perspective says, hey, wait a minute, we absolutely have to look inside our own minds to get the full picture.
So this theory agrees that, yeah, the environment is super important, but it adds this really crucial layer. Your mind acts like a filter. See, it's not just about what happens to you, it's about how you interpret what happens. Things like your personal goals, what you value, what you expect to happen, and your belief in your own abilities. Psychologists call that self-efficacy. All of that shapes how you respond to the world around you.
And this quote just nails the idea of values in action. It's so simple, but it's really powerful. The external thing, the good grade, is only going to motivate you if you internally value it. This means two people can be in the exact same classroom, but because their internal values are different, they're going to have completely different behaviors.
So we've looked at the external environment, and we've looked at our internal mind. But what if both of those things are being shaped by something even bigger? Let's zoom out one more time to the sociocultural level. The sociocultural approach points out something pretty obvious when you think about it. We are all born into a pre-existing blueprint. Our culture, our ethnicity, our gender roles, these are massive forces that influence everything, from the kind of environment we grow up in to the very values and beliefs that form inside our minds. And a perfect example of this is the difference between individualistic and collectivistic cultures. In a country like the United States, the focus is so often on personal success, on standing out from the crowd. But in many other cultures, the real emphasis is on the well-being of the group, the family, the whole community. This one fundamental difference is going to shape a person's personality in some really profound ways. These cultural blueprints directly affect our attitudes about pretty much everything, from how we feel about sharing to what drives us to succeed. And when we move between different cultures, we go through this really fascinating process of adaptation. That process is called acculturation. It's basically how we learn to navigate a whole new set of social rules and norms. And what's really amazing is that studies have shown that people who successfully become bicultural, they can navigate both their original and their new cultures really well, they often get a boost in their self-esteem. How cool is that? Okay, so we've looked at three incredibly powerful forces: our environment, our mind, and our culture. And clearly, none of them alone tells the whole story. So how do we put all these puzzle pieces together? Here's the way to think about it. It's like three interacting layers. So at the very bottom, you've got your environment, which is conditioning your basic behaviors and desires. Then, layered on top of that is your mind, which is actively interpreting that environment. And then, wrapping around both of those is your culture, which is providing the context and the rules for everything else. So what this all means at the end of the day is that your personality isn't some fixed thing that's carved in stone. It's much more like a constant, dynamic dance between the outside world, your own internal thoughts, and the larger culture that you're a part of. All these pieces are always influencing each other, creating the complex, unique person that is you. Which brings us right back to our first question, but now with a completely new twist. You might not be in total control, but understanding these forces, that gives you power.
Knowing how your environment, your thoughts, and your culture are shaping you, that's the first step. The real question is, what are you going to do with that knowledge?